evening. There's also news on the other side of the aisle from the Democrats, sources sharing with CNN details of a recent phone call between President Biden and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who remains a very powerful and influential Democrat in Congress. CNN's MJ Lee is joining us from the White House with more. MJ, what can you tell us about this call?
Jake, we are learning that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President Biden spoke again recently, and that Pelosi told the president that polling shows that the president cannot defeat Donald Trump and that he could destroy Democrats' chances of winning the House if he were to continue seeking a second term. Now, we are also told by our sources that the president responded by being defensive about the polling, telling Pelosi he has seen the data polling that shows that he can in fact win, and that at one point Pelosi asked Mike Donilon, the president's senior advisor, to get on the line to go over the data. Now, none of our sources said whether in this phone call Nancy Pelosi privately told President Biden that she believes he should drop out of the race. But it's important to note this is the second known conversation now between Nancy Pelosi and President Biden since his debate performance that really shook the party at the end of June. I should also note the White House wouldn't comment on our reporting in this meeting. They said President Biden is the nominee of the party. He plans to win. And a Pelosi spokesperson said Pelosi has been in California since Friday and has not spoken to Biden since. Obviously, Jake, we cannot overstate just how important Nancy Pelosi is to all of this. She has so much sway within the party. She probably has the best pulse on where all of her colleagues are on the Biden situation than probably anybody else. And the big question going forward is, at some point, does she get to a point where she maybe publicly says that she believes that the president shouldn't stay in the race?
All right. MJ Lee, amazing stuff. Jeff Zeleny also has been reporting on the story. Jeff, tell us more about these conversations between former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and President Biden.
Look, Jake, a lot of Democrats have been taking their worries and fears to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and we have really seen an evolution of her thinking over the last now nearly 3 weeks since that debate. Now, when President Biden said he is going to run, he's not reconsidering, she reopened the door for him, and that allowed some other House Democrats to have conversations with her. So she has been trying to handle this behind the scenes, if you will, but what we are hearing is that it hasn't worked, so they are being slightly more public with this. But she's not alone. Last Saturday, a key meeting in all of this. History may show this to be a pivotal meeting here, depending on what happens. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, traveled to Rehoboth Beach. That's where the president was spending the weekend. He had a private one-on-one meeting with the president, expressing concerns of Senate Democrats as well, that they do not think that they can win and are worried about him winning in November. So, Jake, taking together all of this, this is a different moment here as we hit the 3-week period. As for the president, he's back in Delaware. The campaign tells me tonight he's in this race. He's not changing. And they say he'll be the Democratic nominee. Of course, we'll see about that, Jake.
We will. Jeff Zeleny, let's stick around. Let's talk about this with my panel, and Chris Wallace and Dana Bash. I want to show some recent video, the most recent video we have of President Biden. He has COVID. He had to cancel an appearance at an event. Here he is earlier tonight at Dover Air Force Base, Delaware, walking down the stairs, looking, I don't know, around, let's say. And it's a very halting procession down the stairs, though. And the reason I wanted to show this video is I'm not sure in all these conversations how much it's being illustrated to President Biden, not just that Democrats worry he cannot turn this around, that he's a drag on the ticket, that he is going to lose, but that the reason he is the drag on the ticket, the reason that his poll numbers are so bad, is irreversible. It is because the American people think he's too old, not competent to do the job. That was highlighted even more in the debate, but that's where the American people, according to polls, have been for months, if not years. This is not something that he can turn around. We've seen him speak before the NAACP and lose his train of thought. We've seen him give interviews to Speedy.
Stephanopoulos?
No, not Stephanopoulos. No, Speedy, the YouTuber.
Yeah, the YouTuber.
And he loses his train of thought in those interviews as well. This is not something that he can turn around. it's you can beat Donald Trump, but you can't beat Father Time.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, that is why what you are seeing, the private conversations that MJ was just reporting on, even more so with Nancy Pelosi. What we know, Chuck Schumer, we know that he was very direct with Joe Biden when he spoke with the president on Saturday. And we know about these series of conversations that he's had with House Democrats, particularly the one with some of the frontliners, the more centrist Democrats, who were very blunt with him on the polling, but also on the fundamentals that you were just talking about. I mean, now he has COVID. I mean, we both have COVID, have had COVID. I certainly have not felt great, but this is far beyond the moment that we are in right now. Jake, I have talked to House members. I've been texting with them, listening to what has been going on publicly, even in the last 10 hours, 12 hours, knowing what has already been going on privately, seeing it become more public. One said to me, the walls are closing in on the president because the desperation, the frustration, and the real, sometimes in some cases, anger is overwhelming that they can't get through to him.
You know, sometimes you see an image and it's almost a perfect metaphor for a situation. And to see Joe Biden looking so slow, so halting, so old as he came down the steps. And when it originally happened, CNN put it on live in a split screen. I forget exactly what was going on at the convention at that point, but you know, there was energy and excitement and a plan for the future. Not saying it's necessarily the right plan. And you see Joe Biden, as his political support is crumbling, as his financial support is crumbling, as he's suffered a health setback, as he's had a series, as you say, of troubling interviews, as he's making the effort to show that the debate that you co-moderated was somehow a bad night. It isn't going away, and tonight just seemed to be a culmination of it. Having said all of that, you know, it's one thing to say to a guy, hey, your numbers in Ohio or Pennsylvania are really, really bad. It's another thing to say you're no longer up to the job. That gets to a whole different, not a political level, a personal level. And for him and his wife, Jill, and his family to come to terms with that is going to be very hard. And I'm not sure that he will.
Yeah. And Anderson, that's what I'm wondering. These blunt messages that are being given to President Biden from Speaker Pelosi, from Leader Schumer, the Democratic leader of the Senate, and on and on and on. How many of those messages are performance-based as opposed to just your polling numbers are bad? Yeah. How many of them are the kind of blunt conversation that so many of us have had to have with parents or grandparents because of the inevitability, the situation that if we're lucky enough to get to be that old, we all face.
Yeah. Adam Schiff as well has come out very publicly. I mean, David Axelrod, of course, you know, Jake makes the point about conversations people have had with family members, that we've all had with family members. And that's what this may boil down to, conversations with Biden family members. And from all the reporting, it seems that his
world has shrunk, Anderson, to his family and a couple of close advisors. And someone has to recognize the reality of the situation. There was a memo circulating today among the congressional leadership done by a PAC for the Senate and House, PACs for the Senate and House. And in it, it said that 18% of people now say they believe the president is fit to serve. 18%, including just a third of people who voted for him last time. You put that together with the meeting with Katzenberg, which reflects, I think, the reality. The money has dried up. And I said earlier,
there's a report that Jeffrey Katzenberg, a large fundraiser,
who is his key fundraiser. No one has done more for the president than Katzenberg. He's devoted his life to this project. You know, someone has to say, here is the reality. There is not a path forward. He said in an interview that he would get out if he was told by his advisors that there wasn't a path forward. If his advisors don't tell him that now, they're not doing him a service, and they shouldn't be
Yeah.
his advisors.
Support for US President Joe Biden's nomination at the upcoming election is dwindling fast after the highest-ranking Democrat figure to date publicly called on him to drop out of the race. Representative Adam Schiff became the first Democrat to call for President Biden to withdraw since Donald Trump's assassination attempt. Mr. Schiff is running for the American Senate in the notoriously blue state of California and close friend of the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. In a statement, Adam Schiff said, while the choice to withdraw from the campaign is President Biden's alone, I believe it is time for him to pass the torch and in doing so secure his legacy of leadership by allowing us to defeat Donald Trump in the upcoming election. President Biden reportedly lashed out on the group call over the weekend at a Democrat member who questioned his viability to run, quoted as saying, "I don't want to hear that crap." That's according to reports.
Of Donald Trump, this new detail of an Iranian plot against the former president, and Joe Biden hitting the campaign trail. Let's bring in senior political reporter Trudy McIntosh. Well, great to have you, Trudy. I am very grateful and mindful that it's about 3 a.m. in the morning where you are, but it was a fantastic suite of Republicans today who took the stage, many, of course, who ran in the primaries against Trump, coming together in a big show of unity. Let's have a look.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote for President Kamala Harris. Let me remind you, Kamala had one job, and that was to fix the border. Now imagine her in charge of the entire country.
I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. We will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. Let's heed the call of our party's nominee to fight for these United States.
Oh, my God.
I didn't play it there, but I mean, Haley really went after the Biden record in foreign affairs. Ron DeSantis, well, he hit all the...
That guy sounds so animated, so eager to kick people out, and it's strange because it seems almost like people every day, maybe people's whose families have been from in the U.S. forever, it seems like they would be the ones talking about who should be there or who shouldn't be, right? But this guy, I'm quite sure himself, he's an immigrant himself. I'm quite sure of it. I don't know. Let me go back. Let me know if I'm wrong. This guy right here. What's his name? Vivek Ramaswamy. Hold on. Let me see something here. Vivek what? Ramaswamy. There we go. Swami. Okay, what does it say here? Let me put this in the chat. Let's see here. 2 seconds. Right. Okay. Okay. It says Vivek Ramaswamy's parents migrated to the USA in the early 1970s. His father, an engineer, and his mother, uh, a geriatric psychiatrist, came from India to the United States seeking better opportunities. Now, when you hear this guy speak, just keep that in mind. Let me hear this again.
This country, all immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. We will return you to your country of origin. Not because
We will return you to your country of origin. And his family just got here in 1970. I mean, what do you think about that? Does that sound a little eager? When I listen to this guy, you would think he's, I don't know. You would think, I don't know. Is this guy, I guess he had to be born in the USA? Is he born in the US? I don't even know. But I'm not saying it is. The only reason why I'm asking this is because he sounds very harsh against immigrants himself. So that's the only reason why I'm asking that question. Otherwise, I wouldn't normally ask.
legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. We will return you to your country of origin. Not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law.
Not because you're bad people, but because you broke the law. And his family migrated to the US in 1970, in the 1970s. It's very interesting. But in any case, you heard more Democrats and top Democrats are asking Biden to step down. Yeah, what do you think about that? I have to be honest myself. I am starting to understand that it's better, I believe. But that's nothing personal against Biden. It's just that I myself want a candidate ultimately that's going to take it to Trump because, the policy is what it's about. The policy that the Democratic Party offers. And that's the most important thing. But Joe Biden, I have to say, I think it's just the age. It's just the age. But also, I think it could be a touch of also wise in another way because Republicans have been, specifically MAGA, they've been directing a lot of personal attention towards Joe Biden's personal life, although that's so ironic because after all, when we're dealing with Trump, we know 100% what we're dealing with. That's basically it. That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Trump. But people want to get into Biden's personal life, So I think, it would be good to maybe see somebody who's competent, but's got a lot of fire and is willing to, pick up the heat on Trump. Especially for young people, that's what young people want to see. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do you all think? You think that's a bad idea? Those Indians don't like. Biden needs to stay in there. Okay. Yeah, well, I hope. I mean, I don't wish him bad. I don't wish him out either necessarily. But if he's not up for it, oh, Biden should not step down. Okay, y'all don't think Biden should step down? All right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Well, that's how it is. I mean, but at the end of the day, I'm voting for the ticket. I think ultimately it's the ticket for me. I don't. There could be, of course, maybe some things that could be addressed in the messaging. Also, I think that's something I'm looking forward to. I want the candidate to take it to Trump. I mean, verbally, especially with the messaging. And Biden, he's a little, because he's a older gentleman. He's not going to do that the same way, and I wouldn't even expect that of him. But I think right now, the facts, Joe Biden has the facts. He has the facts. He knows the presidency, and he also knows what it is to govern, and he has a political background, right? But and I think those things, those should be standard and norm, but I don't know. If I was a Democrat, I wouldn't be afraid of putting any, younger Democrat up against Trump, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think the Democratic Party has to worry about some of the things that Republicans have to worry about, because look, Donald Trump, they built their whole thing on Donald Trump. Their policies don't even make sense, Oh, what you think, Andrea? Pollsters should go to the common working people. We're the ones who are going to decide this. Yeah, I agree. But I'm not opposed to Biden, but when you have so many amount of people that are close to you, in the Democratic Party, maybe suggesting that, I don't think they're doing it for fun, necessarily. I don't think they're doing it for fun, I think they just, it's not personal. But yeah. But what do y'all think? You think they should? You think Biden can do it? Like, you think he can go out there, continue to go make the case, or do you think he's going to look more vulnerable over time? I think that's what the question is here, and it's oh well. All right, y'all. I just came on for a second. I'll be back. Let me know what you think about that, especially if you didn't catch the live. Leave a comment, and let's see. We're gonna see that. We're gonna find out for sure. All right, y'all. We'll be back. Peace. Oh, and remember, you do have someone else you could vote for. Here he is. That's his name, Donald Trump. Yeah.